Adam Ragusea has a pad thai recipe and we haven't seen it. We need to see it. Now, let's get started.
I think I figured out a good trick for making pad thai at home. Prep as many portions as you want, but only cook 1 or 2 portions at a time. This is especially helpful if you don't have a big wok and or a super powerful stove. It might sound onerous to only cook a little at a time, but wait until you see how fast it cooks.
Instead of using the word onerous, you could also use the word toilsome or laborious. Those two work as well. Adam is right about this. It is best to pre-prep all the ingredients beforehand so you're not having to prep everything and then cook. With a lot of Asian dishes, a lot of stir fries, even egg fried rice, it's best to prep all the ingredients before you start the cooking process. With a lot of the European recipes, it's kind of like a waste of time because some of them take quite a bit of time to make, so you can do it as you go along.
Pad thai, of course, is a noodle-based stir-fry in a sweet and sour sauce. To me, the sauce's defining ingredients are Thai-style fish sauce, basically salty fermented fish juice, and extract of the tamarind fruit. Had to get this at my Asian market. This is the concentrate, which I prefer to tamarind paste. It'll be our primary source of acidity, though some people use vinegar or lime instead.
Adam is using fish sauce and not some substitute. This is very good. Now, this is not the brand that Uncle Roger or I actually use. We use another one, and this brand does look a little expensive, something that you probably buy at Trader Joe's or something. You know, they like to charge a little bit of extra money. But fish sauce is one of those ingredients that it is pretty readily available, so if you can't find it, maybe you can go online and try to order it online. It's not that expensive. It also stinks to high heavens, so don't smell it. It tastes super good. Forget about smelling it. And because not all tamarind pastes are the same, it's best to taste the sauce as you're making it. So as you're adding the tamarind paste in, taste it, because if it's too acidic, you need to adjust.
In a pinch, you could replace both of these ingredients with Worcestershire sauce. This is a vinegary fermented fish sauce flavored with, wait for it, tamarind. It wouldn't be exactly the same, but it would do the same job.
Liam Parents is an English sauce. Even though that Liam Parents is an anchovy-based sauce, there are many other ingredients in it. Like a lot. It's a fermented sauce. It doesn't taste anything like fish sauce. It is a separate sauce that you use for other things. It will dramatically affect the flavor and it will not taste the same. But honestly, it doesn't go in it, Liam Parents.
And I suppose the other key ingredient is sugar. The pad thai that I know and love from Thai American restaurants is insanely sweet. I'm using 2 or 3 tablespoons of sugar for 2 large portions.
What?
A lot of people use brown sugar or various less refined sugars. They'd all work.
2 to 3 tablespoons of sugar. Oh my goodness. Now, normally when you make pad thai, you should use like palm sugar. Palm sugar and white refined sugar are not the same. Palm sugar comes from palm sap. It is more of a caramelized flavor to it, more like butterscotch, and it tastes different than just sugar beets. Normally, white sugar is derived from either sugar cane or sugar beets. So if you want any extra like flavors or anything, you need to caramelize it. You need to change the flavor profiles because it's pure sugar.
Fish sauce smells like feet, tastes like meat. Very strong source of umami. You only need a little. And you could use soy sauce instead to keep it meatless. I like a little bit of soy with the fish sauce.
Soy sauce on top of it. Oi, Uncle Roger wouldn't like this video, yeah? Normally you don't put soy sauce in pad thai. I mean, if that's all you have, you can use soy, but just because it's an Asian dish doesn't mean that soy goes in everything.
Now the tamarind extract. I'm using 2 teaspoons of the concentrate, but you know about me and acidity. You might want to start with half this quantity. I also love the smooth, glossy texture that you get from the concentrate. If I diluted this with like 2 parts water to 1 part concentrate, I'd get about the same strength as tamarind paste. I'm not bothering to dilute because I'm going to add some water to the pan at the very end. Now, the secret ingredient to what I'll describe as mall pad thai here in the States is ketchup. Before anybody sneers, consider that many pad thai recipes call for vinegar, sugar, and tomato paste. Well, guess what ketchup is? This lightens the color and also makes the sauce more glossy. I put in almost 2 tablespoons in there. You had to play with the basic proportions to find out what you like.
For everybody watching, please hit the subscribe button and the like button to show support. This is like a very tough recipe to review. Even though that ketchup has some of the same ingredients that you use, doesn't mean that it's a good substitute. Let's look at the other ingredients that's on the ingredient list. High fructose corn syrup, sugar, pure sugar. And what's the ingredient after that? Corn syrup, more sugar. This is just a sugary sauce. And on top of that, you wouldn't have to add so much tamarind paste, so much acidity to make it so acidic if you didn't add so much sugar to begin with, because the acidity will counteract the sweetness.
That's still a little gritty, but the sugar will dissolve as we do everything else. A big handful of peanuts for garnish. I'll chop those up a little bit, not too fine. The whole point is to have some crunchy texture against the soft noodles. Today is a good day to have little prep bowls. 1 bunch of green onions. You could use any onion, but these are good for my method because they cook almost instantly if you slice the whites really thin. And then you have the greens up there that you can set aside and use as a raw garnish. The rest will go into my aromatics bowl.
Now, if we freeze the frame like this, I've said this before with Adam's cutting skills, this is a very good way on losing a finger. I mean, just look at it. The hand is nice and flat with the knife slicing towards it. I have seen multiple people, even cooks, multiple times cut themselves because they weren't paying attention and they were not holding the ingredients correctly while they were cutting. If anyone needs a video on a basic on how to hold a knife and how to cut, I made one. Or you can check out my culinary course, which I also teach many other things in it.
Fresh ginger, a little thumb-sized piece, slice off the skin and chop it up. A roughly equal amount of garlic, peeled and coarsely chopped. Don't go too fine in the garlic or it'll be liable to burn here. In the aromatics bowl with that, and then I'm gonna do 1 red chili, thinly sliced. I'm leaving behind the top, which is where a lot of the heat lives.
Now, Adam is giving some good tips here. So you want to be careful with the garlic because garlic does have a tendency to burn super quick. The peppers, on the other hand, if you don't want like a very spicy sauce, then use a different type of chili that's not as spicy. Chemical capsaicin, which makes the pepper hot, comes from the white membrane. Now, some chilies, like bell peppers on the Scoville scale, have 0 heat. They're not hot at all. Although they're not really the type of chili you want to add for this. You want to add like Thai chilies or something, and they are a little spicy. If you don't want spice to begin with, it's best to omit them.
I'm going to pick a big pile of cilantro leaves for garnish, highly optional. The other table garnish will be some lime wedges, which you probably won't need if you use as much tamarind concentrate as I do. Oh, and mung bean sprouts. These came washed and prepped. I just need to have the open bag handy.
Now, bean sprouts can be a fantastic ingredient, especially with stir fries and everything, but you need to be careful when buying bean sprouts, depending on how they are handled, where they're grown, they're ready to eat food, and you can get food poisoning from them.
Now, protein. A couple of eggs, vegans can totally skip them. These scramble so much better if you salt them pretty heavily, beat them thoroughly, and then let them sit for like 10 minutes. The salt kind of loosens the proteins, and it helps them cook in these delicate, thin sheets that I like in a stir fry.
Now, this is true. When you add salt to the eggs, it does help break down the protein so they mix better. It also seasons it. But the last time that I checked with a few vegans that I know, it's not just eggs that they don't eat. They also don't eat or drink any fish sauce. This is a big no-no. Maybe there are some vegans that do, okay? Maybe, but in general, no animal products. Punto. No animal products. No cheese, no dairy, no lactose, no eggs, nothing. No fish. What a sad life, especially here in Spain, because there are not a lot of restaurants that cater to veganism.
Time for the mother and child reunion. 1 chicken breast should be enough protein for 2 dinner-sized portions. Shrimp or tofu work great as well. The trick with the chicken breast is to cut it into 3 sections and then make very thin slices across the grain. You should be able to see the meat fibers plain as day cut across them.
When you're using chicken breasts, it is very important, 1, to not overcook it, but 2, also to not use a type of chicken breast that had hormones injected in it and it's like been lifting weights. This is a good tip with cutting across the grain, so it helps break down a little faster. But when cutting chicken breasts, it's very important to remove the tendon that's in the chicken breast, and also any other little segments of veins or anything that may be on the chicken breast that the butcher forgot to cut. Sometimes even a little bit of bone. once in a while.
I'm basically slicing as thinly as I can across those fibers. It helps to have a freshly sharpened knife for this. Cutting across the grain will get us much more tender pieces. Thin meat slices in stir fry tend to be chewy. Now I'll put these into 2 separate piles for my 2 big portions that I'm cooking. Got to keep my salt handy, and my final ingredient will be some water. Stir fries go so fast that you want to have every single thing prepped before you actually cook. I've got all my ingredients within arm's reach.
This is very true. It's good to prep all the ingredients. Although I think we're missing some shallots. I didn't see any shallots in here on the prep list.
Way easier to cook in a non-stick pan. This makes it foolproof. And I'm going to boil my noodles right in here. There's no need to get a second pan dirty. And water boils in a flash in a wide pan. A little pinch of salt in there, heat on high.
First off, when using a non-stick pan is very important to not use a non-stick pan that is super scratched. If we zoom in a little here, you can see the scratches. What did those scratches mean? Well, one, that the Teflon isn't really working anymore, so it's not technically a non-stick. Things will stick to it like a you-know-what. But 2, if you don't want Teflon in your food, it's going in the food.
Rice noodles sold for pad thai are usually flat and narrow, though you can use wider ones. Half of this package will feed 2 people, 2 ounces or 60 grams per portion. And I'm sure this is going to make some people unhappy, but I've been breaking these as I put them in the water. If I don't, the noodles are so long that I have a lot of trouble integrating them with the sauce and the other ingredients at the end.
What did Adam do? He broke the noodles. For all the Thai watching, now you know what the Italians feel every time someone shows them breaking pasta. You don't break the noodles. You don't even have to boil the noodles.
I'm just stirring to make sure they don't stick to the bottom. I think the more traditional way to cook Thai rice noodles is to cover them in boiling water from a kettle or something and then let them steep. I have found straight up boiling to be quicker and easier to control, and I'm only going to parboil them 2 or 3 minutes max. Then in this goes to a strainer, and I'll shock with cold water to stop them from cooking and sticking to each other. Let that hang and drain, and they'll hold there until I'm ready to finish cooking them.
Now, even though that he is using a non-stick pan, you can tell that the rice noodles are sticking to the pan. Just look at it. They're still stuck to the pan. You don't need to boil the you-know-what out of them. Not only that, but when you go to cook the pad thai, they will finish cooking in the sauce. And the added benefit is that they won't be a lumpy, sticky mess when you put them in if you didn't cook the you-know-what out of them before.
I'll wipe out my pan real quick, back on the stove, heat on high. You can get away with high heat on a nonstick pan as long as you keep the pan full of food to absorb that energy.
Was that olive oil? And that looks like extra virgin olive oil.
I'm using that bit of virgin oil as a thermometer. The instant I see it just start to smoke, I'll season my first pile of chicken real quick and then drop it in the pan.
He's using extra virgin olive oil. For anyone that doesn't know really the difference between extra virgin, virgin, normal, refined olive oil, and all the different types of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil refers to the olives that are from the first press. This is the most unrefined type of olive oil, meaning it has the strongest flavors and it also has the most nutrients. Normally with extra virgin olive oil, since it's super expensive, you don't cook with it. You only use it for salads and dressings. And if you do cook with it, because some people do cook with it here, you don't cook with it at high temperatures because it will smoke a lot sooner than normal refined olive oil. If you're showing someone on how to make a dish that's from Asia, you don't add an ingredient that's very Mediterranean.
Get the pieces pushed out into a single flat layer. Wash my hand real quick, and then from here on out, I am showing you this in real time. I'm not speeding any of this up. By letting the meat just sit there, we can get a little brown color on it without overcooking the interior. They're going to cook most of the way on that side. When I can see the bottom 2/3 of these is opaque, I'm going to throw in half of my aromatics. The green onions, the chili, the garlic, the ginger. And then once they're in, I'm going to stir everything really aggressively. The top of the chicken is still raw, and that's just fine. This is exactly how I would do it with whole shrimp too, by the way, for the same dish. I tried it that way. It was great.
Now, this is a great technique if you want to get color on your chicken, because the more that you move the chicken around, it will drop the temperature of the pan. You will not be searing the chicken. It will basically boil. It won't sear, and it will be white. If you're doing this for shrimp, however, I highly recommend cooking the shrimp separately. Shrimp is a crustacean that makes one movement when it cooks. it curls. Basically put, if the shrimp is an O, overcooked. If the shrimp is a C, is cooked.
I wanted to devise a process that did not involve cooking a bunch of things one at a time, dumping them out, putting them back in again. Lots of recipes have you do that. I didn't want to do that. I just want to put things in the pan and keep them there. So I've pushed everything over to one side of the pan, and the chicken still should not be quite cooked. That's fine. Time for half of the beaten eggs in a really thin layer. Spread it around. Let it sit and start to solidify. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Then you can scrape at it with the spoon, and this gets you those thin sheets.
If we watch Adam's pan as he is on his little electric burner here, his pan is wobbling. That probably means that the bottom of the pan is warped. It's not a flat bottom pan. Why is it bad? Because that means that the pan is not receiving the same amount of heat evenly throughout the entire surface of the bottom of the pan. One part is touching the heat source, the other part's not. And when you see a pan like this, it means that it's warped. It's time to throw it out and get a good one.
Salting the eggs also helps them to not overcook, even when you get some color on them, which is what I'm trying to do here. The salt loosens those proteins so they don't squeeze all the water out of the egg. So we'll push all of that egg to one side, go over to the sink, and grab some of those parboiled noodles, and there they go. They'll finish cooking now. Half of my sauce is going to go in next, or maybe less than half. You can always add more. I suppose I like my pad thai very saucy. So in goes half of that sauce.
There goes the sugary sauce. It kind of looks like molasses, doesn't it? Just look at the sauce. It looks like molasses. Keep in mind, if your sauce contains this much sugar, you want to be careful cooking it because it can burn very quickly. Sugar burns.
And then I'm going to grab a big handful of those mung bean sprouts. I like a lot of those. I mean, really, I like half bean sprouts, half noodles. That's way healthier, too. I also like to get some of the peanuts mixed through everything. We'll garnish with some at the end, but a little bit of peanuts all the way through. Then stir, 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 stir. Some people prefer to keep the bean sprouts totally raw, add them at the end. I like for them to basically blend in with the noodles, and you can kind of mistake them for the noodles. They're just barely going to cook anyway, because we're almost done here.
If we take a look at the pan right now, it's a little overcrowded, so best to use a bigger pan. Of course, if you can get a wok, use a wok, but even a large saute pan or a large skillet will do. It's fine. A casserole, there's something bigger.
I like to keep my sauce really tight and dry. Not much water in the sauce. That's why I didn't dilute anything, so that now at the very end I can just add as much water as I want to get that level of saucy texture that I desire. So I'm just going to wait until this is looking pretty much as mixed as I can get it, and grab the water, and there we go. And that just deglazes the pan too, which is really, really nice. And we'll just give that a few seconds to cook and tighten up again. The water helps you get everything really smoothly mixed together. If we were cooking several portions at once in this little pan, we just wouldn't be able to get the intense heat that gives a stir fry its characteristic flavor. You need a big wok on a rip-roaring burner for that.
This is true. If you have a wok, it makes things a lot easier, but then again, having a wok on a glass cooktop like he has means that the heat will only be coming from the bottom, or even if you're using induction. The benefit of using gas is that the flames will also lick or touch the side of the pan, so the entire pan will heat up. And this is very important if you want heat coming from more than just the bottom of the pan.
But for one big dinner portion, this is perfect. Beautiful, done. Garnishes on the side, pile of cilantro, more peanuts to sprinkle on top for heterogeneity, lime for squeezing, and maybe I'll put the onion greens on top. Man, I love this stuff. The feet smell of fish sauce boils right out. Don't worry about that, it's gone. And check the chicken pieces, brown and yet not overcooked. That's quite a magic trick with thin pieces of white meat. And now you can turn around and do the next portion, which should take literally no more than 3 minutes, as we have just proven. Please do not take this as an attempt at definitive, authentic pad thai. It's just how I've gotten the best results in my kitchen, chasing the version of the dish that I know and love. And since my favorite Thai place where I live just closed, I am very happy to have cracked this nut to my own satisfaction.
Oh, that was interesting. Now, again, keep in mind, we're not critiquing Adam. Yeah, we're just critiquing his recipe. And talking about this recipe is a recipe that honestly would be perfect for Uncle Roger to review. I mean, he has ketchup in it, he's using soy, he's using tablespoons of sugar, and on top of that, he breaks the noodles. Adam, if you're open to collaborations, I would love to collaborate with you. Maybe we'll make some egg fried rice or something like that. But if anyone has any questions or comments, then let us know down below. And if you did enjoy it, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out this next one coming up here. Until next time, take care, everyone.